Hi, I'm Arthur Fraser of the Wild Team, the Wolf Pack. Today, I got myself a nice cup of tea. I got my nice little fire, and I got some good company. So, let's go ahead and take a sip. Let's get on to this. So, it's the first video since we've done Heathen Days, Pagan Nights, which is our third year doing this. It's our best year yet. Currently wearing a sweater of this year's event, so if y'all want to rock one of those, by all means, I got a link down below for you to order one. Now, today's topic is the conversations we need to have in Heathenry. And this is kind of something that's been kind of brewing in my mind for a while. And I'm still trying to figure out how to perfectly say this. So I'm just going to go out and say it. So one of the things I kind of saw on Facebook a while back, it was talking about, like, you'll usually see this video of why I converted to Heathenry or Norse Pagan, whatever name they decide to give it. And it usually follows the lines of, there's no rules, there's no dogma, there's no judgment, I can do what I want, I can have my cake and eat it too. Now, I can tell you right now, I don't think there's any religion that really conducts itself in that state or fashion that I'm aware of. Even Satanism has its rules too. Read a 6-handed Bible if you don't believe me. But with that being said, Heathenry also has its way of doing things as well. Now, is it have the constraints of, like, say, the Abrahamic faiths? No, it does not. It does not conduct itself in that fashion. And I think that's one of the conversations we need to have, is we need to quit comparing ourselves to Abrahamic faiths or even other faiths as a whole. We need to quit comparing, because we're too different. We need to stop that comparison. We need to stop trying to 1v1 everything, because not everything is a 1v1 thing. I'll elaborate on that later, but I'm going to talk about my first subject. Is in Heathenry, you can kind of do whatever you want. A lot of topics I'm talking about cannot be further from the truth. Because here's why I say this. Heathenry is an honor-based faith. It's an honor-based practice. How you conduct yourself in the community, in front of the presence of the gods, the ancestors, the land whites, and so on and so forth. It's all about your reputation. Your reputation of your honor is what matters. So to say that you can't do whatever you want, you can, as long as you're not dishonorable. So that's not totally wrong. But you also understand that you have to act a certain way. You have to be a certain way. For example, me being a Gothi, I have to conduct myself a certain way too. I have to lead the kindreds, or my kindred, in bloat and rituals and stuff like that too. But I'll stand in the hill saying that kindreds choose their Gothi, not the other way around. And a Gothi title could be revoked at any time by their own community. I'll die on that hill. But with that being said, you have to conduct yourself with honor. If, for example, if you're known as an oathbreaker, good luck having an AR community trying to take you in, because that's just not going to happen. Not a respectable one, anyways. And to be an oathbreaker is if you make an oath and you have no intentions of keeping it. And again, I made another video on this a while back, so if you want to look at that, that'll elaborate more on that. So, keeping your oaths, that's a big part of it as well, and living with honor. Now, to say that, we can do whatever we please, again, we can't. Our orlog, how we conduct ourselves, affects not only our orlog, but our next of kin's orlogs, even our ancestors' orlog. Now, for those who don't know what the orlog is it's essentially how you receive either luck, curses, how your actions conduct in this life is going to affect what's going to happen to your next of kin in their life, or even their next of kins, and your future ancestors, or your future, children, if you will. Your descendants of your orlog. Because you inherit your ancestors' orlogs, and what they've done does affect your life. You inherit their curses and their blessings. So again, to say that you can do whatever you please, you could have that mantra, but that one has consequences. Now, my next topic being, there's no dogma. Now, if you're going to talk about dogmas and, like, the Abrahamic faith dogma, then sure, we don't have that. But when it comes to stuff like how people interpret the lore or whatever, sure, that could be debated. That's fine. But there's also just blatantly wrong things about how people try to spin the lore and the myths. There's always nuances to everything. You have to do your homework. To say, like, because there's no dogma, that's the way you should do it. Well, there may not be dogma, but there's studying to be had. And you need to know that homework. Because, again, if you don't, you'll be easily made a fool with quickness. But I think I kind of hit the point on that. And I think that's a conversation we need to have is we need to quit this and at least have the conversation pieces like, hey, like, we can't be saying we could do whatever we want because you can't. There's a code of ethics, the honor code you have to live by. And that's one thing we kind of really need to talk about is we need to quit pushing that. But my next topic, and this is one I've been kind of noticing that people will avoid like the plague. It's predatory paganism. So let me explain this. As we're getting more and new individuals come into paganism, heathenry, whatever name you want to give it, there's going to be people going to be taking advantage of their ignorance. Some people turn to paganism because they either are just doing the old awkward turtle, as you see my hands here, just awkward turtling throughout life, just not knowing what they're doing, right? And again, we've all been there. But someone's going to see that. Someone with, who knows, just more than they do to manipulate them. And to say that that's not an issue, I think that would be ignorant and misleading, I would say. Now, to what scale that is, who actually knows? But to say it doesn't happen is foolish. And I think that's one of the things is we need to kind of discuss that before it becomes a real big problem. So, and usually it comes in forms of someone trying to say, oh, your gods are this. The gods have been trying to talk to you. I could talk to them through me, and I could tell them through you. Or you're the chosen one. That one probably happens a lot more than people like to admit. But with that being said, I think that is one of those things that's in the shadows that we kind of need to take better concern for, and maybe even look out a little more in our own communities. But yeah, I think that one for sure. But that was just a quick little short video. Nothing really too crazy. But until next time, stay heathen.